Welcome back to the Competitor Talk. This is your host, Kyle Dangler. This podcast is presented by Loud Creative Works, and today we were very fortunate to be joined by Chicago Bears linebacker James Vaughters. So here we go.
Being with the Bears is such a quality organization, and after bouncing around so much, it's good to finally get a chance to be a part of like an off-season program all the way through, get the chance to go through a camp all the way through, and really get a chance to experience or have a really quality experience from strength training to recovery work to nutrition to just the quality of the coaching staff.
Yeah, definitely. Just talking to other players and stuff. A lot of them are in different cities. That they grew up in. But I noticed that you were born in Chicago, so it must be probably for you a little extra special, wouldn't you say so? Being able to play for the Bears. I know you moved, but being with them, since you were born there, it must be pretty special for you.
Yeah, well, it still feels like home to a certain extent because I still have some family that live in Chicago. My parents have a lot of friends and family that live in Chicago, and most of my family is from the Midwest, like Ohio, Indiana, places like that. So it's good to be around them, and it's good to be back in the place where I was born. It's kind of surreal.
Yeah. So just going back to your college career, I know you went to Stanford University. Just playing there, your junior and senior year, you started at outside linebacker. You want to just, kind of take us through the process. Obviously, you got to get recruited there. But, once getting there, your freshman, sophomore year, it must have been tough, obviously dealing with classes, trying to, contribute to the team. I mean, how did you feel you grew, going from, a high school senior to, eventually going to the starting lineup in a college football program like Stanford in the Pac-12?
Well, one thing I can say is that there's definitely a lot of growing pains and a lot of struggle involved with getting from one level to the next. I know that when I was in high school, one of my biggest things was I was going to lift as much as I could because being one of the strongest, most athletic guys out there, I always wanted to make my job even easier. And the stronger I was, the easier my job was, and the better in shape I was, the easier my job was. But the game gets to be a little bit less physical and a little bit more mental every time you're trying to climb from one level of competitiveness to the next. So just understanding football from a completely new level, understanding my body from a completely new level, and the way that like wear and tear will set in on your body, and learn to interact with coaches in a different environment than your home environment. It's just it takes a lot of getting used to, and it takes years, and you'll make a lot of mistakes along the way. I definitely did, and I appreciate more than anything when I learned from all those experiences.
Yeah, just talking about the growing pains. Going through high school. I mean, you were a 4-star recruit, rated by ESPN and a couple different sites. 95 tackles, 18 tackles for loss. Just you basically filled up the stat sheet. Your whole high school career. I mean, going from that to going to play Pac-12 football. Everyone is on your same level or right around your level. I mean, did you feel that you had to put in a little more work to kind of up your game as well as the others?
Well, in high school, it's almost like if you work hard enough. For me, it was like if I worked hard enough, I'd get the result that I wanted. But once you get to college, it's more of a working smarter situation. Like, I was strong, but I wasn't the strongest guy on the field. I was fast, but I wasn't the fastest guy on the field. I was agile, but I wasn't the most agile guy on the field. So you have to learn to play with leverage. You have to play with balance. You have to learn to play calm, not to get overly anxious, not to get overly aggressive, and you have to play, within a state of balance. And I'd say I never really felt like I mastered that until my senior year, and then and even then I still felt like
there's always room for improvement.
It's hard to maintain, like you may get hurt here and there, and you haven't dealt with injuries that much in your career. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's always an obstacle in football, and that's one of the beautiful things about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so just you mentioned before, in high school, you were trying to be the biggest, strongest guy, but then you just mentioned before a little about kind of the agility, having to go from sideline to sideline. I mean, in college, did you focus more on agility drills along with lifting to kind of make yourself more agile and more open to the game, in terms of going for tackles for loss and going after running backs a little bit easier?
I wouldn't say I worked on it more because I worked on it probably just as much, but it was more visual. It was more like understanding movements and understanding how to visualize, like how is this agility work going to help my like efficiency in my footwork, or what angle do I need to put my cleat at to put it in the ground to get the best output as far as changing direction? Like, what's the least amount of steps I can take to get from point A to point B? Man. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, like very precise movements that really challenge your nervous system more than they really just challenge the strength and explosiveness of your muscles.
Yeah, so kind of almost have it like a muscle memory. Try to get the quickest path to whoever you're going after.
Efficiency, yeah.
Yeah. So, just talking about efficiency, I know I'm not sure, about you in high school and college, if you were a big film guy, but, just talking to other players, throughout the league, they consistently talk about how, as they got older and older, they looked at film more and more because, coaches were, showing them more, and also, the game grows. So, and it obviously gets harder and harder every year. I mean, going through, your pro career and even college, I mean, were you a big film guy, studying, movements of the other team to prepare yourself and the others around you to, help them out during game?
Well, I feel like there are certain positions that kind of serves you better for than others. For me, as a rusher, outside linebacker, I was always trying to study the movements of people who are best at my positions. Guys like Von Miller, Khalil Mack, D4, Justin Houston, guys like that. Like when you get a chance to really luckily I had the opportunity while I was in school to really look at those guys, to look at film from those guys and be able to say like their hand placements here, their foot placements here, their hip flexibility is here, and it gives them ability to do this, that, and the other. And that's something that I really wish I probably should have focused on more when I was in college. And I really like now at this point, like I spend the entire off season looking at that kind of stuff. I spend the entire off season reaching out to those kind of guys to try and get the best tips that I can. So, I think that it's always a learning experience. And you're always growing throughout the process, and sometimes there's so much information at your fingertips in these days that it's almost hard to decide where exactly you need to be looking because there's so many different aspects of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Just especially your position. You just mentioned feet work and hand work. I mean, being alongside Khalil Mack with the Chicago Bears. I mean, is that someone you kind of look at during training camp and kind of study his moves? Up your game too.
100%. Just because to be around a player like that is just it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and as I've gotten older, I've gotten into reading things about how the body works, and reading things about how the body moves, and you can watch someone else move. You can say, what muscles do I need to loosen? What flexibility do I need to increase to get my body to move like that? Down to some of the most like minute movements. Yeah. So it's like, I wanted to get to a point. I set out once I got into the pros, and once I had a few like situations where I didn't get picked up. I told myself I'm going to focus more than I ever have on just maximizing my athleticism and maximizing my movement based on what I see. And when you get really down to the details of that, you really get to feel like you can almost feel like over time you can progress into being able to do almost any types of movements. But I really enjoy the blessing of being able to look very closely, look how these guys practice every day, and look how these guys approach rushing in practice every day, and see how it manifests in games.
Yeah, definitely. Just for the people listening right now, I know, people are kind of like, how do you work on hand work? Isn't that just kind of a natural movement? I mean, just seeing, like, I know Aaron Donald's videos that kind of went viral. I mean, what do you do to, obviously there's a lot of feet work things. You could do agility drills like the ladders and stuff. But, I mean, specifically for your hand movement to, get the other opponent's hands out of your face and, get by them. I mean, what do you do to work on something that seems so small but yet so significant for your game?
To me, it doesn't really seem that small at all, and it's funny because
To the
you know.
outside people, I just
Oh, okay. Oh, I get what you're saying. So, like, yeah, for me, it's almost like a game within a game to a certain extent. It's almost like a martial art to a certain extent. Like
yeah.
everybody does a lot of guys do boxing in the off season, do some sort of. I'm a big fan of like Muay Thai. I really plan on getting into Muay Thai this coming in the coming time, and there's a lot of different. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of different hand movements and a lot of ways to learn to place your hand on someone's shoulder, how to aim for the elbow when you're going for a club, and things like that. So, I mean, I really think that's one of the more important things in the game. The better you want to be is to understand how to use your hands and how to think about it like a martial art visualization.
Yeah, so you just go
small movements and things like that.
Yeah, small movements. I mean, just looking at your opponent. I mean, do you have a plan when you get to the line? Kind of, see where their feet and arms are placed. And do you have a plan? Going into the play before it starts, or do you kind of just go with your first movement off the line? I mean, how do you kind of react to the opponent's reaction on offense when you're playing defense?
So really, you're really just looking for high hands, low hands, wide hands, tight hands to a certain extent. And what I do during the off season, or I think a lot of good guys do during the off season, is they'll have like some sort of. You can use anything. You can use a heavy bag. You can use like one of those pop up bags. You can use a dummy, and almost just like visualize the hands that you're getting, and visualize the hand movement that you need to defeat it. And you get say 50 reps. 50 reps of a chop club on the right side, 50 reps of a chop club on the left side. And you can do that, and doing that with your feet still. Just visualizing the movement, not really trying to be that explosive with it, not trying to destroy the bag, but just to visualize what you're going to get, and to visualize what your counter will be. And once you get so many reps with that over the course of like a 6-month off season, you get to the point where sometimes those things happen like almost as a reaction, almost unconsciously. But also you have like a loose plan when you get to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so just kind of more practice, more reps, basically that'll help you in the long run. Just practice as you go along, kind of for that stuff.
It's all about repetition, muscle memory, and priming your nervous system. I think that's the most important aspect of it.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so just going through your career. I mean, getting undrafted and then going to the Packers. I mean, signing with them in May of 2015, and then being released, but then going to the practice squad. I mean, just going through a few different organizations. I mean, starting off with the Packers. I mean, obviously they gave you the opportunity, which I'm sure you're grateful for. But can you just talk about going through the process of going through a training camp and then going to a practice squad? I mean, is it tough knowing that you're gonna have to be on the practice squad rather than the 53-man roster?
Well, I'd say it is to a certain extent, but at the same time, you're happy to have that opportunity, especially given the events that followed after I got hurt on practice squad with the Packers. That I saw it as a blessing when I was doing it, and I saw it as exponentially more of a blessing after I ended up getting hurt. So I'd say like have an opportunity to be in an organization of quality and to be able to improve and be around. I was around guys like Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, That's a blessing in itself. It's not. It's frustrating at times. Like on game day, it's frustrating. But during the week, you really have to be focused on the task at hand, and you really have to be focused on the process because the difficulty of the process makes the outcome even sweeter, and that's something that I've always believed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so just going through the Patriots, you signed a future contract with them, but got released before training camp came around, and then you went to the Calgary Stampeders in the Canadian Football League. I mean, can you just talk a little bit about your time there? I mean, is the game similar? I mean, how did you transition from going from traditional American football and going over to a different league? I mean, was it a tough adjustment for you, or did you feel that the game was similar and that you could also progress as well to get back to the NFL?
So I mean, that I think that period between getting hurt with the Packers and getting to my first season in 2017 with the Stampeders over the course of that 2 years are probably some of the more changing years of my life as a football player and as a person. Just because sometimes in football it can feel like you're facing somebody else's hands. Like if you don't get a call, it's almost like
Yeah.
What am I gonna what am I gonna do if being a football player is my dream? So the work that I put in during that entire 2016 season that I was at home for, and going through the tryouts that I didn't get picked up off of, or going through short stints with teams without getting kept. It's almost like you go through difficult mental health situations, you go through depression, you go through anxiety, and those things are hard to deal with. But that hardship and finding the strength to get up every single morning and go lift and go run. I ran 5 times a week for that entire 2 years, lived and ran every day. And I just appreciated it so much when I got to Canada that I would have the opportunity to rush every down. I was playing in the American system. I always played outside linebacker, so you have to work on dropping and setting the edge just as much as you have to work on pass rushing. But when I got into the CFL, I got the opportunity to really develop myself as a pass rusher. And if you know football, you understand that that's one of the most valuable positions on the field, and
Absolutely.
which makes it one of the most valuable skills to have. So having the opportunity to almost focus solely on that for a full 2-year stint, and play at a quality organization, play in 2 championships, win a championship in the CFL. All those opportunities are something that are so much of a blessing to me, and I'm just glad that I've had the opportunity to play so long and learn so much as a football player. Because football for me is it's almost like a metaphor for real life. You get to go through a full lifespan of hardship and obstacles over the course of the first 25 years of your life. So it almost just makes me think about how great it's going to be to have an opportunity to start with a clean slate after football. So I really appreciate that opportunity in the CFL, and I'm loving every second of being able to use the skills that I learned up there and to bring them back down to the NFL.
It definitely, it's awesome to hear that. You went through a little hard time, you mentioned before, but getting through it, it's definitely something that people listening right now can look towards. Kind of a sign of hope that don't give up on your dreams, like you just said. Just going through the hardships and then coming through at the end. Going to the CFL. It's definitely something that a lot of people aspire to go through and succeed in. Yeah. So just going. So you sat out 2016. Did personal training, and then 2017 you went to the CFL. Yeah. So just going there for 2 years. You mentioned you transferred to defensive. The line, going to the line, going from linebacker to the line. I mean, just having both positions now under your repertoire of skills. Do you feel that can help you in the NFL, being able to play multiple positions in order to make a 53-man roster?
Well, one thing you'll hear anytime you walk into an organization in football, you're going to hear the more you can do, the more you can do, the more you can do. And that's because, the more skills you have, the more versatility you have. And the more versatility you have, the more depth you can add at most positions, whether it's special teams, whether it's inside linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive end. Just the more valuable skills you have, the better situation you'll be in. So, that gives me a lot of confidence in that. And it's good to not to walk into somewhere and say, "Oh man, they're asking me to do something I've never done before."
Yeah. So just going from college to now, and then from the CFL, and now to being with the Bears. I mean, are you solely on the line now? Are you playing a little linebacker in training camp? Are you doing a little bit of both, or how are you going through your reps in practice?
I do whatever the coach is asking me.
Yeah.
I I get out there every day with a mindset that I have something I want to get better at, and I'll do anything I can to help the team get better. So whether it's playing outside linebacker, playing special teams, playing both sides of the line, playing D end and nickel concept, you know,
So you're doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just mentioned you're playing offensive line sometimes as well.
No, I didn't say that. Not at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought I heard offense, but just going through, special teams also. Going through that process. I mean, do you feel that even that, is something in a form that you practice a lot, going through your special teams motions, or is that kind of something that is important but a little bit on the back burner?
I played special teams in college. I played special teams up in Canada. So experience is the best practice when it comes to those things, and it's also something that I take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, definitely. So just being, going from the CFL to now. I mean, you mentioned before, sitting out 2016, playing 2 years in the Canadian Football League. I mean, just from your personal perspective, obviously you said you transferred to defensive line there, but what did you see progress in your game that felt and you saw that made you get another chance in the NFL?
I'd say just a lot of things that I've been harping on is just being able to increase my flexibility and increase my ability to do things like to tackle in space, to run an open field. Just all of those things I feel like come together. It's almost like they're on multiple parallel timelines that are all working at the same time. It's just a matter of getting better at as many things as you can, as much as you can, over as long as you can. And a football career is really a matter of playing the long game.
Yeah, definitely. So, a lot of people are probably wondering, listening right now, just, going through the process of, playing, once a week, usually on the weekends. I'm not sure about in Canada if it's the weekend or week, but just going through, the weekly schedule of a professional football player. I mean, what do you do, to prepare for the, upcoming game? I mean, are you a big film guy? Do you, lift a few times a week, watch film, practice, and then, go into the game, good night, rest of sleep? I mean, how do you prepare for the game ahead of you?
I'd say mostly. I mean, it's a little bit of all those things. But yeah, I watch a lot of film. Pay attention to all the tendencies and everything that your coach will give you throughout the week, and really just to try different things to find the most optimal process for you. Like for me, it's I wake up in the morning, stretch, make sure I have a good breakfast, watch some film, go over my plays a few more times, go over adjustments a few more times, and just get to it. There's really no set in stone way to do it. It's just I try to make sure I'm feeling as fresh as possible mentally and physically when game time comes.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, I just kind of wanted to wrap up. Thanks for joining us. But I just kind of want to wrap up with one quick question, final question. And that, I mean, being with the Chicago Bears so far, I mean, you've mentioned, you're grateful for the opportunity, you're loving every moment of it. But what can we expect, just from an outside perspective from the Chicago Bears this season? I mean, what can we, see them doing this year?
I think you can see is winning a lot of football games, and like our coach always says, chasing great. We're a team that is trying to maintain a chip on our shoulder as much as we can throughout this process. It's just a blessing to be on a defense that was so great last year and see how they're pressing to be even better than they were last year. And it's also great to see an offense that has such a creative mind and that will leverage you in so many different ways. So I'm just really looking forward to the opportunity to be a part of such a great organization and really such a special season in the history of the organization.
Definitely, yeah. I know there's a lot of buzz, going around the Bears, with such a successful year last year. It's definitely something that, we're all going to be looking out for. So we just wanted to, and, thanks for coming on the show. We're definitely going to be, watching to see if you make the 53-man roster. We're all going to be hoping for you and praying for you that you make it. And, just going through, your preseason games, we'll definitely be checking out, how you do. So thanks for joining us. we wish you the best of luck, and have a great season.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah. So hopefully we'll talk to you soon, and good luck with the season.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Yeah, so that was James Vaughters from the Chicago Bears. Played at Stanford University as well. So we just went through, a little bit about his career, what he works on every day to get better, a little bit about his time in college, playing in his hometown of Chicago. It's definitely something special. He went through a lot of different things he had to go through with depression, dealing with, failure in the NFL, and then coming back after 2 years of playing in the Canadian Football League. It's definitely something special, and, something that, a lot of people listening right now can learn from, kind of, dealing with failure and adversity and, making the best of your moment. So we wish James the best with the Chicago Bears this season. He's hopefully going to do great. I'm sure, he'll have an awesome season with them. Hopefully, we see him on the 53-man roster alongside Khalil Mack this year, sacking QBs like Tom Brady. So, have a good day, and thanks for listening to us.